If you are hearing these words, know this. It is no accident. This is resonance. Your soul has been waiting for this call. You feel it, don't you? That subtle yet palpable pressure, like unseen hands pressing down on your shoulders. That quiet, chilling whisper of fear that haunts you in the darkest hours of the night. This is the world crying out to you that something is wrong, that the very fabric of reality is thinning, revealing the rotten, time-worn threads beneath. Before we step into the hallowed sanctum, make your choice. Your like is not merely a token of approval, it is a declaration of intent, your silent yet firm reply to this call. Your subscription is not just a formality. It is your entry into the ranks of the seekers, those who dare to look beyond the veil of the ordinary. We live in an age when the golden era, foretold by the great prophets, seems like such a distant mirage, barely discernible on the horizon. Instead, an abyss opens before us, the very one promised by those who chose shadow over light, who prefer darkness to radiance. The truth that they so painstakingly conceal behind a motley screen of news feeds is simple and terrifyingly ruthless. Our reality is merely a meticulously staged play, a gigantic economic illusion designed to hold you, like prisoners, in its tenacious embrace. And no, this is by no means another conspiracy theory, but a genuine large-scale conspiracy aimed against your very consciousness. Sylvia Browne, whose prophetic words resonated deeply in the hearts of many, spoke of coming times, of grand transformations that were inevitably to occur. Her predictions, often veiled in profound mystery, pointed to 2025 as the pivotal moment, a time when the dense veil of illusions would inevitably begin to tear. She foretold a great economic upheaval, and it was not just about a familiar recession or boom, but about a fundamental shift in the very essence of how we understand exchange, value, and control. This is not just another collapse of the markets we know so well. It is the harbinger of the destruction of the very system that feeds our illusory, fragile reality. In the lost quatrain from Century 11, verse 93, a clear hint is encoded that gold will fall like snow, and paper will become a shield for the poor, but will ultimately deceive them. And this is not just a metaphor. This is a direct indication of the coming devaluation of familiar currencies and the rapid rise of digital, or perhaps entirely new, forms of exchange accessible only to a select few. The hazy visions of Vanga's prophecies also speak of times when money will lose its power and people will fear what is intangible. This echoes the predictions of the hermit monk Kenshin, whose scrolls were discovered in the ashes of a once majestic monastery on Mount Kurama. He wrote of a time when shadow will envelop merchants, and the true human soul will become far more valuable than any gold. The lost quatrain of Century 11, verse 93, was not merely a random prophecy. It was a kind of landmark, left by those who possess the gift of foresight through the veil of the ordinary. The same can be said for Kenshin's scroll. His writings, found among the charred ruins, spoke of a golden blindness when humanity, attached to the shining metal, would completely forget the true value of all things. These predictions, scattered across different cultures and eras, like fragments of a single mirror, reflect the same coming truth. The leak from Protocol Chimera, a closed report from the Roman Club, these names sound ominous, don't they? But all of this is not the product of a sick, inflamed imagination. These phenomena, on the contrary, testify to the existence of unseen forces that weave the patterns of our world. Protocol Chimera is a meticulously crafted plan to create an artificial reality, where economic indicators are fabricated, and the true state of affairs remains inaccessible to the majority. For a long time now, as is known, the closed report of the Club of Rome spoke of the urgent necessity for total control over resources and populations, and of the deliberate creation of managed chaos. The harmonious resonance of these seemingly disparate predictions, ancient and modern, is undeniable. The calculations of the wise Maya, which speak of great cycles whose completion inevitably coincides with the onset of an era of unprecedented, fateful changes, echo them in unison. They foretold a time when celestial bodies will speak in a soft whisper, and the earth will writhe in unbearable pain. And this is not a harbinger of the end of the world in its usual grim understanding. It is a prophecy of a grand transformation. The technocratic mysticism, so characteristic of our time, where scientists speak with a serious mien of fractal patterns manifesting in geopolitical events, and of the collapse of quantum probability as possible causes for impending crises, is not something entirely new. Ancient sages, having deeply grasped the essence of existence, understood the inseparable connection of all things. They knew of the influence of solar cycles on the noosphere, of how cosmic rhythms impact the collective consciousness of humanity. Recall that inexplicable anxiety that grips you around 3 in the morning when you lie in bed, feeling as though the whole world is collapsing, yet unable to understand why. Or that sharp sense of alienation when you look at the faces of passers-by, seeing in them only empty shells, reflecting your own inner void. This is not ordinary depression at all. Rather, it is your soul suffocating within the walls of this imposed matrix. It is its desperate cry for awakening, a call for liberation. It is a sure sign that you are beginning to see, to perceive through the thin, deceptive veil of lies. But what if all these frightening monsters, bloody wars, global crises, unprecedented pandemics are in reality just shadows, dancing whimsically on the wall of a cave? And what if the true, almighty tyrant chaining you to this illusory world is actually looking at you from your own mirror? What if your attachment to possessions, that gnawing fear of the unknown, your blind faith in unquestionable authority, what if all of it is precisely the invisible chains holding you captive? From childhood, we were taught that true power lies somewhere outside, in mighty governments, in unshakable economic laws, in the wise words of experts. But that's not the case. Real, genuine power has always resided within you. The universe does not inflict punishment upon humanity. It simply rids itself of poison, the venom of fear, suffocating ignorance, all-consuming materialism. What we sometimes perceive as utter chaos is, in reality, a most subtle, grand, cosmic operation. A system built on a foundation of lies and ruthless exploitation is doomed to collapse. It is fragile, like a magnificent crown forged from glass. It appears so opulent, yet shatters from the slightest misstep. For centuries, we were tethered to the cold, soulless, metallic veins of a system that fed upon our very life force. But even in this seemingly hopeless situation, there is hope. This is not the end. Dawn has broken. The great age-old illusion which has bound minds is cracking at the seams and is ready to collapse, granting long-awaited liberation. The prophets, whose visionary eyes penetrated the veil of time, did not see a single savior. No, they foretold not one hero, but an entire army of awakened souls united by a common purpose. They saw you. You are not merely a tiny part of an ancient prophecy. You are its very embodiment, its living fulfillment. This trembling, all-consuming feeling you sense within, this is the awakening of your own intrinsically divine spark. And now that your eyes are wide open, now that the veil has lifted, you cannot remain indifferent. You cannot afford to return to your former forgotten sleep. Your like is like a sudden bright flash of light that instantly spreads across the vast network, serving as a beacon for those awakening from slumber. Your riposte is not merely an action, but rather a seed that you plant with care in the barren desert of minds that are still asleep. It is the very spark capable of igniting a true flame in another heart, awakening it to life. And your subscription is nothing less than a solemn vow, a clear statement of your readiness for deep inner transformation. If you feel ready to embrace even more, if the call to true, real understanding of the world resonates within you, then our inner circle will become your reliable base of operations. Your support through Super Thanks is the vital energy that fuels our collective flame, igniting it even brighter in this relentless battle against the encroaching darkness. Until our next meeting, dear friends, stay awakened, stay connected, and never, under any circumstances, stop asking questions.